Hi everyone, this is going to be the recording for the clamp plate done in the Autodesk web app. So what we're going to do to start with, we'll go and look at the clamp plate, and if you notice we have to pick what is the best front view. And remember, the front view is always the one that tells the best description of the shape of the object. So we're looking for, I would almost say, the most unusual shape, the one that shows the most detail. So here, if you notice, if we look at this direction, which a lot of people would want to do because that's the longest dimension, and most people think that width needs to be the longest dimension, and most of the time it is, but in some instances not necessarily. Because look, what we would see from this direction would be a rectangle, another rectangle, another rectangle, and then another rectangle. So a small one, medium, small, and then a little larger one with the two holes cut in it. But you really can't tell a lot about that from looking at that direction. But if we look at it this way, and we sort of see this F shape, so that is the most detailed shape description of the object. So that would be our front view. And that would make this the right side if we did that. And remember, in isometric, most of the time, if we look at it from this direction, that will be the front view. If you look at it from this direction, that's going to be the right side. That's the way isometrics are laid out. So when you do your multi-views, most of the time, that's what you're going to have. So when we look at this, what we need to start with is a box the size of the front view. So the overall width of this object, looking at it from the front, is 1.625, or 1 5/8, and 5.25, or 5 1/4 tall. The depth of the object from the front to the back is 4.625, or 4 5/8, and we also see height in the right side view, and there again the 5.25. So let's start with drawing a box, two boxes that size. If you notice here, there is 1 inch between these two views. You've got to allow a little bit of room to work. So we come in, I've already opened up my template. I'm in my draw commands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on line. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go over 1.625. We're going to use the numbers that are on the screen. You know, I've talked about don't round off because, you know, if you see 1.63, you think, well, that should be 1.625 because that's 1 5/8. But we'll use the numbers that's on the page right now just to keep it simple. So our height is going to be 5.25. Now, we can either come back this way and type in 1.625, or we can come down here and hover. Don't click, just hover. Drag up, you get the green dotted line, and when you get the crossing green dotted lines, that gives you that intersection point. So you can click there, and then come back down and click there and say confirm. Okay, so there's that box. Now we want to start another line. We're going to hover over this point. We don't click. We're going to drag over and say 1 inch, and it will start our line 1 inch over. And now this is going to be, if we go back and look at it again, it's going to be 4.625 deep. So we want to go this way, 4.625, enter. We can type in the 5.25 again, or we can just come here and hover and drag straight across as long as we got our green dotted line. Okay, come back over the 4.625, or you can hover again, and then you can go back to the beginning. You can actually hit C and enter for close, and that will close your box. If you notice, it says close here inside the bracket, C for close, U for undo if you drew a line at a wrong angle. Okay, so there's our two basic boxes. So what we need to do now is we need to draw this front shape. So we need dimensions up or down because that's what we're doing. If you notice, this bottom base is a 1/2 inch up, then it's 1.688 between, and then it's 2.688 from the bottom up to here. So that's what we're going to work on now. The depth of this, if you notice here, it's got a little squiggly arrow, is 4.38 inches deep, the little cutout is. Okay, so let's go do that. So we're going to start in line again. We're going to hover here. Remember, don't click. We don't need to draw a line. Just hover, drag up, and type in 0.5 as your start point. Okay? Now, coming in, we said that that depth was 4.38. So we come in, 0.438. 0.438, there we go. And now up, our height was 1.688 up. So 1.688 up. And then that just comes right back out and touches there. Okay, and we hit confirm. Now remember, the top of this was measured from the very bottom up 2.688. Now we could subtract this and this from this to figure out how far it is here to here, or we could just hover and work our way up to that. Let's do that. Let's make it easy. So line, hover, start dragging up, type in 2.688 as our first point, and it finds it for us. Now, how deep does it go? Well, if you notice, it doesn't tell us how deep this platform is. It tells us how deep it is from the back to the front. So let's just draw us a line arbitrarily. We're going to draw it out a little long. You can draw it out this far if you want to, as long as it's horizontal. So I'm going to drag out and click somewhere and say confirm. I would usually stop inside the box, but this is okay. And then we can look now from the back to the front, it's 0.688. So if we go into the line command, we hover here and drag out and say 0.688 as our first point. Now we can draw straight down, and when it intersects with the green X, there's our point. And we can confirm or we can hit enter either one. Okay, so now notice this line is too long. We want it to end here. What we can do is we can click on this line and grab the grip. All we do is click on the blue grip and drag back till we get to the end of that line and click, and that will put it in the right place. Same thing we can do here. If we click on this line, we can grab this grip and drag down to the end point. Now the key is get the end point, don't get the midpoint. Get the end point of the line and hit escape, and that'll put it in the right place. The other thing we can do is we can go into modify and hit trim. Remember, all we have to do is touch what we want to get rid of or draw across what we want to get rid of. So there's that. And while we're in trim, we can do the very same thing here. So look, there is our F shape that we talked about, okay? So now we need to get this platform. We need to show that line all the way across here, this line all the way across here, and this line all the way across here. The good part about that, and I'm going to hit confirm to get out of trim, is we can go back into draw now, and watch what we can do here. If we click on line, we can hover right here, drag across till we get the intersection, click, then drag straight across till we get the intersection, click, and then confirm. That line's in the right place. We can do the very same thing with these lines. Wherever we've got a corner at, we can do that. The other thing we could do is we could hit modify and hit copy, and we could click on this line, and that's selecting the object. If you notice, that's what it says down here, select objects, it's found one. Now I'm going to confirm my selection because that's the only line I want to do. Because all these points are in the same line, watch what I can do. I can pick this as my base point. And I can come here, click again, come here, click again, and of course I've got the one on the bottom. So at this point I would hit confirm. So there's those lines in the right place. Okay. Our other option, I'm going to hit undo. Our other option would be to have drawn. We could have gone into the line command, done the very same thing. Click here and go across, and that would have done that, and that would have been fine. And then we do the same thing here. Hover, drag across, get our X, and then drag across and get our other X. So there we go, and then hit confirm. Okay. Now we need to put our two holes in here. So if we go and look at this, the first hole is 1 1/4 inches in from the front. And then it's 1.312 up from this platform. So this is the front edge of the object. Okay, if we go back and look at it again, look. So if we start here and go that way, that's starting here going this way, because all we did was rotate the object around. So let's go to line. Let's hover here. And remember, our distance is 1.25. So we're going to hover here. We're going to drag in. Get your green dashed line started. There it is. 1.25. And that's our first point, and then we're just going to draw us a line down and say confirm. So again, 1.25. Then it's 2 1/8 between them. Okay, we'll worry about that here in a minute. We want to find the center of this hole first, and it's 1.312 up. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. We could draw another line, but we could also use the offset command. This is where this really comes in handy. Specify offset. Select object to offset. Okay. So this is our object we want to offset. Now, how far up? And we check our distance again, 1.312. So we want to go up 1.312, up, and there is our center point. And then hit confirm. You can right click and do that if you want to. So there's the center of our circle, our hole. So let's go back to draw. Let's go to circle. Okay, and notice what it says, of course, specify center point of circle. But now remember, this is in radius. See the little icon here? Okay, so we click here. But look what it gives us. Because this is in diameter, two holes, remember 2x means quantity. There's two of them. Diameter symbol, 0.812. Okay, that's the size. So what we can do is we can click on this diameter button instead of having to do the math, and now all of a sudden we're in diameter. So 0.812 and hit enter. There's our hole. Okay, so now we need another one over here, and it is 2 1/8 inches away, 2.125. The easiest way to get this is under Modify, hit Copy, select the object you want to copy, which is this one. That's the only one we want, so we're going to confirm our selection. Now it says specify base point. Well, that was center point to center point, 2 1/8 inches. So let's pick our center point as our base point. Then we're going to go this way, and how far are we going to go? 2.125. And it'll put it exactly where it's supposed to be and hit confirm. Okay, so there is our two holes. Now all we need is our center lines in this view to be done. And we need hidden lines over here and a center line for this view to be done. Well, let's do our hidden line first. So the first thing I want to do is I want to click on layers. Right now we're on the object layer. I'm going to change it to hidden. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to draw. I'm going to go to line, and I'm going to hover over the quadrant of this circle, and I'm going to drag across till I touch here. Now notice this is showing intersection. Remember, if we go down here, we may want to check and make sure quadrant is lit up, and it is not. So we're going to check it there. Okay, so it's good to have it. It's good to have midpoint, good to have apparent intersection. Always check these every time you draw and make sure they're on. It'll make a difference. Okay, so now we can click off of that. And again, now this time it gives us the diamond shape for the quadrant. So now we drag across and click as our first point, drag across, click for our intersection and confirm it. That is in the correct place. We can do the exact same thing at the bottom quadrant. So we could go back into line, hover, drag across. Let's do this. What if you accidentally click here and you drag across to here and you confirm it? That line's too long. But remember, all we have to do is click, grab the grip by clicking on it, drag it over to where you want it, and click again, and now it's in the correct place. The other way of getting that in the right spot is we could have mirrored it, or we could have copied it. So that's all done under Modify. So if we copied, it says Select Object. Well, I want to copy that. And that's the only thing. So I'm going to hit Enter and say Confirm. Now it says Specify your base point. Well, the only 2 points I've got that's good is that quadrant and that quadrant would put it exactly in the right place. And I escaped out of the command, so that would do it. The other way of doing it, like I said, was mirror. So if I go to mirror, select object to mirror, which would be that again. I'm going to hit enter because that's the only thing that I want, and confirm. Now specify first point of my mirror line. Well, this is center point because your mirror line is supposed to be dead in the middle. I can just select here, drag straight out, and pick another point. Now it says, do I want to erase my source object? This is my source object. The answer to that is no. I want to keep it. So now they're both in the same place. So there are our hidden lines. Okay, so the only thing we've got left is center lines. Well, look at this. We've got two lines drawn here that are on the object layer, but we need them on the center layer. So let's highlight both of those, and let's move them to the center layer. Okay. And I may have to go to Properties. Yes, I'm going to have to do that under Properties. I apologize. So we're going to click here, and we're going to move it now to the center layer. That'll put it on the right place. We can't do that from the Layers button. We have to do it from the Properties button. So there's that. Well, how far out do our center lines go? Well, they always go 1/4 of an inch past the circular feature. Here's my circular feature. Here's my circular feature. Here is my circular feature. Okay. So the easiest way to get this, we could grab it by the grip, drag it back to the circle, all the way down to there, grab the grip again, drag back up to 0.25, and every once in a while it'll jump on you like that. So that's kind of aggravating to do that, okay? Let's try that again. Let's click on it. Let's drag this up, make sure we get it out and away, 0.25, and see, it does it again. So let's do this instead. Let's put it back where it was. Let's do an offset command and say offset 0.25. And we're going to offset the circle 0.25. There it is. So now, by doing that, we hit escape. Now we can grab this line, drag the grip down to here, grab this endpoint and drag the grip down to here, and that is now the right length. Then I can get rid of this circle at that point. Say delete. There we go. So that's the right size. Same thing here. We can click on this line, drag it all the way back to the edge of the circle, drag it back out, And what we're doing here, what's messing up here, and I just remembered this is measuring the entire length of the line in AutoCAD Web App. So the best thing to do is use that offset command. So we should do all of that at one time. So let's offset this. And notice it's too big because I didn't put in a distance. So let's go back into offset. Click on the circle. Okay, offset distance, 0.25. Select object offset, the circle, out. Let's go ahead and get this one too while we're here, out. Okay, now we can do extend. Pick this as our boundary. Okay, that goes out, and now let's do trim and get rid of that. Okay, now all we got to do is get rid of these two circles at that point and say delete. Okay, we need one more center line vertical here. The easy way to do it is copy, or we can mirror either one. So let's just do the mirror command. Let's pick this line as the object to mirror. Now let's hit enter and confirm. Midpoint of it, well, dead center of that line now that we've got it exactly 1/4 of an inch out and exactly 1/4 of an inch out. And then say get rid of source object, no. So there's that. There's our center lines. Pretty interesting. Now we need a center line here. Same thing, we need to get it in the right place. Well, the easy way of doing this is if we go to layers, we're center right now, we've got it cut on because I did that a minute ago. Let's go to line. So we're going to go to the draw command. I'm going to click, and I'm going to hover right here, and I'm going to drag across. I'm going to pick that. What I'm wanting to do, I want to make sure that I get my intersection. So I come all the way back to here. Click here, come this way. The key is we want to make sure that we get our intersection. Okay, I'm going to draw it a little long on purpose because sometimes it's grabbing a point that I may not want it to grab. So let's do that. So now we've got it a little too long, which is fine, because now what we want to do is we want to go into modify, offset again. It remembered our distance, 0.25. So let's pick this object and go 0.25 out. This object, 0.25 out. There's our distances. Now all we need to do is extend. We click and extend. We touch the end of this line, touch the end of that line, and it puts it in the right place. Now all we have to do is delete these two lines. And I'm going to zoom extents. Notice it fills up the screen pretty good, so I'm going to move my roller wheel and get it to where I can see it. And there is my finished drawing. Now if you notice here that my center points, my little crosshairs are not dead center because it's calculating the length of this line from here to here. Because it's a computer program, it can't put that crosshair dead in the center like we really want it. But that's one of the things about AutoCAD that you have to just accept and move on if you want to show that these two center lines are in the same plane. So that's what you have to do in that case. Okay? Well, that's how you do this drawing, the clamp plate in the AutoCAD web app. You may come up with some different ideas of ways to do it. If you do, that's great. Let me know what you figure out. Have a great day and good luck.